Hi, my name is Adam Erickson. I work for the Raven Foundation, where we seek to make religion reasonable, violence unthinkable, and peace a possibility. I also am a youth pastor. The two jobs gel really well together, and I have such a great time with my youth group that I thought that I would share some of my reflections from my time with them with you. If you are a youth pastor, you may find this interesting, you may find it helpful. I also have lesson plans up on the Raven Foundation website. You can go there and find them. I'll have them up in the next couple of weeks. Also, if you're not a youth pastor, you still may find these reflections interesting. You may disagree 100% with everything that I have to say, which would make for great conversation. So I'm partly doing this for that. And also, if you're a member of my youth group and you miss a class, you can catch up by watching these videos. So, our first class was based on the idea of justice. So we brainstormed what justice means to each of us. Many of us have this sense that there's something wrong with the world, that there's a lot of injustice in the world, and these things shouldn't happen. Things like people not being able to get food, water, shelter, the injustice that we do to our environment, to the earth. Also, the idea of injustice as being based on punishment. So if somebody hurts me, you have the right to hurt them back. This is what justice requires. This is what justice demands. Well, excuse me. What I like about the Bible is that it speaks to this idea that something is wrong with the world, that there's injustice in the world. It speaks to this so clearly. It hits us in the face with it. You can't miss it when you read the Bible. It starts with this story of creation and Adam and Eve, and God creates this world and everything is good, right? Everything is just the way it's supposed to be. It's all good. And then something happens right away with Adam and Eve. There's this break between them. They accuse one another of betraying God, right? I mean, what greater accusation can you make? They accuse one another. They break this relationship with one another. This is not how the world is supposed to be, and the whole rest of the Bible reveals how the people of God participate in ways of injustice, right? It says it so clearly, and yet it says it so clearly it makes us uncomfortable. And yet it also tries to reveal the ways towards turning the world back to right, to being right. How does it do this? Well, you see often in the Bible where justice is based on some sort of punishment, right? So I think it's in Deuteronomy where you have this passage where it says, eye for an eye, life for a life, tit for tat, these kinds of things, right? Well, what that passage is trying to say is that justice may require you to have life for a life or an eye for an eye, but it stops right there. No more retaliation after that. The thing is that each of us wants to get the last punch in, right? The one that will stop this retaliation. It's not what the Bible is trying to get at in this passage. It's saying the violence stops here. No more seeking revenge. And even this gets critiqued. I think it's in the book of Judges where if somebody offends you, that person can go off to another city, a city of refuge, it's called, where you can wait it out until the other person is calmed down, and hopefully the person who was the offender can come back and restoration can take place. This is what justice is all about. Not about punishing, but about seeking reconciliation. You see this throughout this critique, throughout the Bible. The prophet Isaiah talks about the suffering servant, where all of this violence is done to the suffering servant, and yet the servant refuses to retaliate. This is how you be a light to the nations. Jesus, for Christians, Jesus reveals who God is at a concrete level. Jesus goes around forgiving people. Jesus goes around healing people. It was often thought that if you were hurt, if you were like the man who was born blind. He sinned, or his parents sinned. Somebody sinned in order for this to occur. Jesus says, I don't know why this happened, but here, be healed. Jesus is not about accusing people, but about healing relationships, bringing people back into community. This gets seen concretely on the cross, where Jesus hangs on the cross and offers forgiveness in return. It says, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. This is what justice is based on: reconciliation, forgiveness, the hope for restoration of relationships. This is who God is, Jesus is telling us, the one who seeks to heal. How does this get played out today? I showed them a video on YouTube. It's called As We Forgive. It tells the story of Rwanda. In 94, I think it was, you have this genocide happening in Rwanda, where I think it was the Hutus who were trying to kill all the Tutsis, and even some of the Hutus who were moderates. Well, they were all in jail, and Rwanda is now going through the process of trying to release these prisoners, the Hutus, who committed this act of genocide. And there's this project of forgiveness, of cultural forgiveness, trying to move beyond what has happened, acknowledging what happened, but trying to seek justice that is based on forgiveness and reconciliation. How do you forgive someone who has killed so many of your family members? And how does one who has killed so many of another person's family members accept being forgiven? So we discussed that for a while. It was a great conversation, and I would love to hear your thoughts on it. So check out the video As We Forgive on YouTube. Make comments on there. It's a great video, challenging video. And this is, I think, how we go about turning the world right side up. So justice based on reconciliation, forgiveness. I think that's the challenge that we have in our world. Love to hear your thoughts. Let me know. Bye-bye.